Hello and welcome everyone to another video. I'm Karinique, and in this channel we are demystifying the mystical and bringing more awareness to our infinite potential as human beings. So teleportation is one of those subjects, rejuvenation and so much more. And today I'm absolutely delighted to be joined by Mary Carol Fitzgerald. So Mary Carol, thank you for being here and welcome.
Thank you, Karen, for having me here. It's a pleasure.
Yeah, it's just great to have you here. So we connected, well, about a couple of years ago on a completely different topic. We were on the same training course in San Diego, and we reconnected recently to talk about mystical experiences, and you have a very fascinating story to share. So I thought, wouldn't it be wonderful if we could share this with the world and bring more awareness to these experiences that some people are having and don't dare talk about, and some people wish they would have, to open up possibilities for everyone. So to start off with, would you like to share a bit about yourself and what you're up to in the world?
Sure, I'd love to. Thank you. I am a lifestyle branding and marketing photographer and also travel photographer. I work with business to business and help people up-level their image. And I also have a fine art portion of my company where I create prints, wall art, nature, travel, coastal scenes, farm scenes, anything that really has to do with nature, and bringing relaxation and the energy of peace and harmony into your home, space, environment, place of business. And it's really, yeah, it's healing energy.
Yeah, beautiful. And definitely I've seen some of your shots, and they're definitely peaceful and loving and harmonious. Okay. So you, in our recent discussions, I understand you were inspired to go on a trip, and on this trip you had some beautiful experiences. What inspired you to go on this trip in the first place?
Karen, it's been a journey. It's been, when I moved to Chicago about, I don't know, 12 years ago, and I recently moved to San Diego, within the last year. And it's really been about the journey. And when I moved to Chicago, that was really when I had an awakening, when I lit up to the sense of the energy of the world, in the realm that I was living in. And just the books, the self-development, personal development, talking about God and the universe and all of that, like that was really what was coming to me and lighting up what I had been, I guess, seeking for all of my life, not knowing. I always felt like there was something missing, and the sense of fulfillment that I was seeking, and I didn't quite know what it was. And so since then, I've been on this journey of self-discovery, is really what it's been. And and learning just why are we here, what's our purpose, and what's my purpose. And it's been, just even over the past decade, it's been a long journey, and it's been enlightening. And so it's just, I haven't stopped. And I think that's just one of the most important things throughout the process, is to keep going and to keep discovering and to keep seeking and to keep asking questions. And I've been doing that. And like, that's how I've found myself in San Diego now. It has been a dream since high school that I moved here. And, it's like the taking one step after the next. It's like following the breadcrumbs of where, for me, in my experience, where I have been led. And so this past, the most recent trip that I went on to Costa Rica was just part of that process, and it was all connected through the work that I've been doing. I mean, from years ago, a connection of mine had invited me to go on this, it was actually for work. I was photographing a spiritual retreat. And that was another dream of mine, and so it, like, little did I know what I was going to be discovering on this journey, on this specific journey. But it was something that I felt that I had been seeking for my entire life.
Yeah, and isn't it beautiful how it all comes together? So you, just by following your intuition and listening to your dreams and actually following those steps.
Yes.
So you're now in Costa Rica, you're on this beautiful retreat, doing what you love, which is important. And so take us to the next step. What's happening?
So what's happening? So when I arrived, it was interesting because I arrived several days before the rest of the guests were arriving. I was there with the hosts, and I for some reason I was feeling a little out of place. And I'm like, I'm in this beautiful space. I'm wandering around with my camera, you know, by myself, you know, just journeying around. And I'm like, there's something here for me. I don't know exactly what it is just yet, but there's also a reason that I'm feeling a little out of place. And I was trusting the process. It was really, and that's just one of the things that I've learned over time is to trust the process. Trust the process. It doesn't matter where you are, when you are, wherever you are, everything is perfect. It's all in divine right order. And I just, you know, like, okay, I'm here for a reason. Show me, teach me, guide me. Why am I here? You know, and why am I feeling uncomfortable right now? Like didn't have anything to do with anybody else. You know, I had gotten out of a relationship, you know, I was kind of missing, like, you know, having a partner by my side, walking around taking pictures. Like it creating pictures, you know, and I think there was a sense of me being alone with myself in that moment of travel. And I think that was part of the experience too, because soon after that I was not alone at all. But I was you know, there was a huge contrast, you know, in that moment of what I was feeling to the contrast of what had followed.
Yeah, and that's really good that you were actually curious. You were asking those questions. What do
Yes.
I need to know? What are my next steps?
Yes,
In order
yes.
to take you to that next place. So I'm excited about what you're about to tell us. So keep going.
And I think that's part of it. It's like to be an inquiry of your life and your surroundings and who you're meeting and what you're experiencing. And it's like, you know, instead of just sitting with it, to actually be asking the questions and the awareness around it. So the following days, we had experienced an ayahuasca ceremonies. And ayahuasca is a plant-based medicine grown in the Amazon, and it's a very healing plant, and it's a very sacred ceremonial process that is, you know, that goes on with it. And so there were I have you know, had an experience with ayahuasca in the past in Peru in 2013, and so this was my second time. So I was not, you know, I've done this type of work before, but this was a completely different experience that I had. I had no idea what I was getting into, and through the process of the work, it was like over this past decade, has been, I remember my last experience was very sorrowful. Like it was filled with sorrow, and there was a darkness to it. And that was like towards the beginning of my awakening. Like there was, you know, much work that has happened between then and now. And this experience was the utmost beauty of love and light and fulfillment, and like to the point like where my soul was crying like tears of reclamation. Like it was like, oh my gosh, like this is what I have been seeking for my entire life. And it was like I saw myself, I saw my soul, I saw the beauty of what is, and the abundance and the energy of the creation of where we are and what we are living and what has been, you know, in the past, in the present, in the future, and this time space continuum of the connection of who we are and how we are all interconnected.
Okay, beautiful. So what was going on around you at that moment? What were you experiencing within you? I mean, can you say how that was interconnected with the people that were around you at that point?
Sure, absolutely. So throughout the processes, there was this experience. I did 4 different processes. And so there's during the ceremonies, you're in the dark There's shamans that are playing music and icaros and chanting, and it's like, and it's all of love, it's all of God, it's all I am, you know, it's the divine energy from within, and the interconnectedness of like what your soul knows, like not even like what you might even be able to understand it in, you know, our human ears, but your soul understands it. And so throughout the processes, I don't know whether it was at 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours, but you're in the dark and you're all in your own space. You know, everybody's on their own journey. So everybody has a different experience, and it's it's very sacred and ceremonial. And so, I remember the second process, like when I was waking up, like it was like the ceremony had ended. So I went through my own journey, you know, eyes closed, all of that, and seeing what we see throughout the process. And when I came to, like, after the ceremony was over, I remember I had a scarf over my eyes, and I was like, it's over? I feel like it's just starting. So I pulled the scarf over, and I just slowly, because people are kind of just starting to murmur and move around, and it's still dark. There's a candle lit, so we're still in sacred ceremonial space. And I just remember opening my eyes, and I was like, oh my gosh, there's like color everywhere. And I could see the lines of energy, like it was like phosphorescence almost. It was like the electro, what's the cable line, like for fiber optics? You know, and it was like these energy waves that were moving throughout the room. And the more I observed, and that was the thing, it was like I was in observation. I was quiet, and yet I was observing, and I was noticing, and I was being. It was very peaceful, and it was calm, and it was like these waves of energy and color and rainbow, and the light around the room was just absolutely moving, like in these beautiful waves of like silky flowing. It was almost like flowing curtains in the wind, or in a breeze, you know. And then the closer I looked, it was like everyone had their own halo around them. Not even a halo. It was just like this like web of energy that was around each person. And then it would connect to the next person. It was connecting across the room. It was everywhere. It was within everyone. It was around everyone. And it was even like coming out of the walls, you know, I mean, because it was just everywhere. But like, it was like, you could clearly see right through it. And I was completely in my body, you know, I was coherent. I was talking to people, you know, once I started to like wake up, and I'm like, okay, like, I'm seeing something, people, you know, I'm like, you know, so it was even like pouring like out of the tapestries on the walls and the pictures, and it was just like waterfalls, like energy just flowing out of everywhere. It was ever abundant, completely loving and moving, and it was just everywhere, and it was beautiful. It was the most beautiful thing I've ever seen.
That's amazing. Yes, because we hear that everything is energy, but until you actually experience it, it can be difficult to understand or challenging to understand. And everybody sees that in a different way, because I've never heard somebody talking about waterfalls coming out of the
I know,
yeah.
Right? It's like, and that's the thing, it's like I was like, oh my gosh, I'm like, I've heard about this. I remember my brother like was awakened he's been awakened since he was born, you know, and he was telling us all about this since before. We were all like, we have no idea what you're talking about, you know, growing up. He's 10, 12 years older than me, and he was always talking about everything is energy, and he could see like the molecules in a lampshade, you know, and nobody knew like what he was actually talking about. Like it was not like talked about then, you know. And so like hearing that, and even conversations that I had leading up to this process, it was like there were so many different realms and like points of it where I was seeing different things. I mean, even from the, you know, somebody else, I was looking at like a profile, and I could see like another dimension of them, like outside of themselves, you know? And then even like when somebody would be like hugging, I could see the softness of the energy around them. If somebody was moving fast and excited, I could see like the sparks flying, you know? I mean, it was, yeah.
Yeah, that's so beautiful that what different people say in these expanded states of consciousness, how it plays out so differently for different people. And thank you for sharing that. It's so important to inspire others, to enable them to know that their experiences are perfectly perfect.
Yes, yes.
And everything's okay. So going from those moments of being in this beautiful state of interconnectedness, of oneness, of feeling the love and all this, how do you bring that back into the daily life, or how do you recreate that in a daily down to life way, down to earth way?
That is a great question, because that was like what we were all experiencing, you know, throughout this process. I was there like for 2 or 3 weeks, you know, and it's like, oh gosh, like now I get to go back into the real world, and like what's real and what's not real, and like what's a dream and what's not a dream, and like, or am I, you know, like really, like we're all dreaming like in every waking moment, you know? And so that's another thing of like, life is a dream, and our dreams are real, and they can be as real as we create them to be. You know, there's been times where I've been in the waters in Southwest Florida or the islands, and I'm just like out there in this serene, clear water of like clear, like you're in a swimming pool, you know, and it's like, then there's dolphins jumping, and there's rainbows in the distance, and there's a soft rain, and then there's a breeze, you know, and it's like, I feel like I'm in a dream, like it's surreal. And I'm like, oh, I am.
Yeah.
It's a waking dream, because when we are awake and we are connected, we get to call in these dreams that are there available to us. And so bringing that, to answer your question, to bring this, you know, back into the real world, it's like having the awareness. I mean, there were so many lessons, you know, throughout the process. Like everything is a lesson, you know, like throughout the process of my experience, but throughout the process of life, you know, we always have a choice within everything. There's always a choice. There's always a lesson to be learned. There is suffering that happens in the world for us to be able to see, so that we have a contrast to like what is available to us as well, you know. And we have the choice to suffer, we have the choice to be free, to free ourselves. And the awareness, you know, the awareness is a lesson. Being aware of how you're thinking, and the thoughts that you are, you know, the thoughts that you're thinking. How are you talking to yourself? How are you talking to others? How are you behaving? You know, and it's all part of the process of what we get to learn to continue to bring our soul to a higher level.
Beautiful, yeah. And I can see that you're obviously a very visual person, because you're seeing all these things, and you're a photographer, so is perfect. You know, I'm more of I hear things and feel things more than actually visualizing them, but you know, so it's great to know that we all have these different channels to receive the divine, as it were. So we've also had a conversation on teleportation.
Yes.
I know this is a great topic, and you have some things to share about teleportation. First of all, what is your definition of teleportation?
Oh, my definition of teleportation is transporting yourself into another space in time.
Okay.
Or at the same time, you know. For instance, like I would always joke about my teleport machine is not working yet. And because I would want to be in so many different places at once. I travel quite a bit. I've got homes in different places, in the sense of like, I'm from Chicago. I've got friends and family there, and I'm from Florida, and I've got, you know, friends and family in the islands, and I live in California, and it's like I just want to be everywhere at once. You know, like I wish I could teleport. And then I would be like, oh, my teleport machine isn't working quite yet. Like I'm working on it. I'm working on it.
The
And
intention is set. So
yeah, the intention is set, and there's just a couple tweaks that I need to make, and then, I mean, I've been saying that for years, like joking about it, and now I'm like, oh my gosh, like I've read about that people could teleport, and now I'm like hearing more and more about it, and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's real, it's really real. And then again, what's real, what's not real,
Well, I think we get to create reality through if we're thinking about something, we're actually creating it. For some people, it's instant.
Yep.
Some people are teleporting. Some people do it consciously. Some people don't do it consciously. Some people know that they can.
Yep.
Everyone's in a different place in their process, I suppose. And would you like to share the experience with your father? We've talked about this. What's that experience?
Sure. So it wasn't actually my personal experience, but I was just even talking about this with my family the other day because we were just kind of laughing about it. Like, oh, remember when Dad teleported? Like my mom was up in the bedroom her bedroom having a conversation with somebody, and my dad was downstairs on the lanai. The lanai is like the porch, you call it, and screened-in porch in Florida. And he's down on the lanai, and he tells her later that he was upstairs in the bedroom while, like, with my mom and her friend, like, while they were having a conversation. Like, he literally, I don't even know, is that literal? Like, teleported into the bedroom, and it's like, what are you talking, like, we were all just dumbfounded. And my dad, I consider him to have he passed a couple years ago, 2.5 years ago, but I feel like he was like a cat. He had like 9 lives because he would like almost go, and then he would come back to life, and then he would almost pass, and then he would come back to life. And when every time that he was like coming back to life, he would have like this God experience where he saw angels and was talking to, other family members that had passed, and he would like bring back messages, and it was just, I don't even want to say bizarre. It was becoming the norm for us to hear his stories about this because he was so connected. And yet throughout the years, like, we never knew how connected he was. He didn't talk about it. I don't know that if he knew how to talk about it or just didn't, it just wasn't talked about. And so now we're finding this out, how powerful he actually was. And yet, it wasn't being shared, but then again, like, I mean, I don't think he was like, holding it in for any like purpose. It was just a matter of like, he was always off in his mind somewhere. So who knows how many other times he actually teleported.
And was he consciously aware of it? I mean, who knows if he could have talked about it, but
yeah.
I remember your mother sharing with me that she like saw him there. So she saw him in the reality in the bedroom where he was downstairs at the same time. So
yeah, exactly.
So what was going on energetically? This is so fascinating, so interesting. Yep. Thank you very much for sharing that.
Well, and there was another time too that I remember she had said that he was downstairs in the bedroom. Because this was when, he had been sick. And so he was downstairs on the first level and she was upstairs. And she went to go turn on the light because she thought she saw him like walking in the bedroom because she saw like what he was wearing. She saw specific like shorts and a shirt that he was wearing. And she's like, Bill, are you there? Like, and then she went to turn on the light and nobody was there. But like, that was another experience too. That's
fascinating. To know what was playing out between them on an energetic level.
Yes.
It's absolutely fascinating. Yeah. Oh, well, thank you for sharing that. That's so inspiring, and it's going to enable other people to open up to this reality or share their own personal experiences that they don't dare share.
Exactly.
Thank you so much. And have you any other things you'd like to add to this conversation and to inspire others?
Oh gosh, so much. to know that you have everything within you. You are more powerful than you know, and you are more powerful than you like can see and imagine. And so that's where trust comes in, to absolutely trust yourself, to ask questions, to seek guidance, and to know that we are living beings that are infinitely connected to each other in so much love and so much abundance. And there is always more, and there is always enough. And whatever you seek, you will find.
Beautiful. Well, there's nothing I can add to that. That was absolutely beautiful. Yeah, so Mary Carol, if people would want to reach out to you to find out more or to get in touch with your beautiful work, how can they reach out to you?
Thank you, Karen. I've got a website, portfolio site, and you can find me at marycarolfitzgerald.com. And
okay. Well, I'll post the links below.
Thank you.
Okay, well, thank you so much for sharing your light, sharing your multidimensional being, and inspiring others with your beautiful share. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you to everyone for tuning in. And if this has inspired you, remember to subscribe to the channel so you will get the latest wave of information. Click on the like, and thank you so much for watching. And I wish you all a beautiful day. Thank you so much, Mary Carol.
Thank you. God bless.
God bless you.